everyone, George here. Welcome back to the channel. And what we're going to be doing today is talking about this 20-gallon cube made by Waterbox. I really like this aquarium. It's one of the best aquariums I've ever owned. We had a little three-part series on putting this together, as most of you know who follow my channel. And today we want to talk about where we ended up with the stock in this tank as far as fish go and invertebrates and so forth. And one of the main things we want to talk about is how we arrived at the stock being what we chose, and explaining a little bit why these fish are compatible with each other, and a little bit about the fish themselves here. The first thing we want to talk about is the three angels here. Now what these are yellow-veiled marble angels. I do have some black and white veiled marble angels in another aquarium, which most of you have seen already. In fact, they were in this tank for a short period of time. It was essentially just to use to show the tank off, and it was a very temporary situation for those fish being in here. So these guys will be a permanent residence in here. They have been in here about 2 weeks now, and they're doing fantastic. Now I know that these fish will outgrow the tank, so I don't want anybody sending me messages and saying, oh, those fish are going to get way too big for that tank and all that. I understand that. So these are temporary. They're about, right now, their body center is about the size of a quarter, so they're very small, very low impact on the bio load of this tank. They are pigs. I noticed that angelfish do like to eat about 3 to 4 times a day in small quantities, and so that's a little more work than I had really intended to have, but it's okay. I don't mind doing it because I think the fish are beautiful. Anyways, we also have in here, which I thought was a nice contrast with the black background and some of the darker substrate and that sort of thing, are some Priscilla Tetras. Now the Priscilla Tetras are a species of tetras that are thought to be albino. They're not a true albino, so anyone that knows these fish know that this is just the color that they have. The reason why I chose them, as I said, was for their white contrasting look against the background of the tank. It really is a nice contrast for them. And so that is the main fish that are in this tank. Now, what we also added were 3 auto cichlids, so that I don't have algae problems ever, because I do water changes and my lighting is always spot on. As you can see, all the lights in this little particular area here are all from the same company. It's a great little light system that works with this. I don't know if this lamp is going to be enough for this particular tank. We'll assess that and talk about that and maybe make some changes on that. I do have another light on order that I may try and see if it works out maybe better than what we have here. But so far, everything seems to be growing. These are all low to moderate plants. There's nothing in here that requires a large amount of light. And as you can see, everything is lush and green. There's no algae issues or whatever. We've gotten through that stage where the brown algae that you start to see on your plants and stuff, we haven't seen any of that. And the auto cichlids, number one, would take care of that issue anyway if there was an issue in here. But I haven't seen anything, so I don't think that that's ever going to be a problem. I know with these tanks here, these 2 smaller tanks, I just don't ever see any algae issues at all. Now these tanks, of course, have been established for quite a long time. I did seed this tank with a bio system that was from another tank, a 20-gallon, or excuse me, a 10-gallon Leland tank that some of you have seen before. I did use all of the bio that came with that as far as the filter and the substrate, and then just added more to it so that we would have an instant cycle on this tank. So everything worked out really good. We did that, and we waited about a week before we added any fish, and water parameters were absolutely perfect. Temperatures are absolutely perfect. We're running right around 78 to 80 degrees, depending on what you trust as a thermometer to check these kind of things, but probably right around 80 degrees, which I think is perfect. Angels like that temperature. They seem to thrive in here, and the Priscilla Tetras can certainly handle. As far as pH goes in the water here, we are neutral at 7.0. Angelfish can go through a variety of different pHs with no problem, as long as you are not changing things and dramatically shifting around their water parameters. They seem to do very well. So at 7.0, which is a neutral, I use Seachem's Neutralizer, which is a great product. I'm not going to put it out here and try to sell their product. They're not a sponsor of mine, so there's no need to do that. But if you do need a neutralizer of some kind to get your pH right at that 7.0 mark, that is an absolutely fantastic product to do that. And if you're listening, Seachem, and you want to sponsor me, I'm happy to let you do that. But at this point, they are somebody that I mentioned just simply because I do use several of their products, and that neutralizer works really good to get this pH exactly the way I want it. Now, let's talk about, we have a fish in here that's not going to be in here long term. It's a short-term problem. Well, not a problem, but it's a short-term situation. I have a blue German ram cichlid in here that got displaced from another tank. The partner died. I don't know what from. I had them only 2 weeks, and I sensed right away that the female of the two, it was a pair, it was a breeding pair, was not doing very well after about 3 or 4 days, and then I thought that she was getting better, and unfortunately she just didn't make it. So I have put him in here temporarily, and he's doing really good, actually. I wasn't sure if the angels were going to be a problem with him or him be a problem with the angels. I see nothing like that going on. I don't know where he is in the tank. Right? Oh, he's right here. So he seems to be doing really well. He's eating. He's drifting around the tank, doing his thing, acting very, very normal. So I know that the tank that he was in, I know there was nothing going on in that tank that was a problem. So it was just a matter of moving him over here until I can find a home for him. I'm planning on setting up another 20-gallon for just some cichlids, some ram cichlids, different species of ram cichlids, and we'll be doing that build in the next couple of weeks here. I hope you'll look for that and join me for that particular series when we get that going. So the other fish that we have in here, we have 3 autocichlids. Like I said, I really, autocichlids like to be in a group. They really do. If you put less than 3 in a 20-gallon tank, you're really not putting enough of them in here. I really may decide to put a couple of more in here simply because they do better. I don't lose autocichlids. I haven't had any issues with that in any of my tanks, but I always start out with a minimum of 2, even in a nano tank. I start out with a minimum of 2, and I put 3 in here for now. If I feel that they are needing a couple of more, I will do that. So we'll just sort of assess that and kind of go along and see how all of that goes. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, or actually there's two left that I want to talk about. There are 2 panda cories in here. Now, cories I like just because they're cories. You know, they're cute. They look nice in any tank. Panda cories get to be about 2 inches full size. They're not going to get much bigger than that, or if they even get that big. But it just depends on the environment. It depends on the breeder, and you know, lots of different factors. So I have no idea. A friend gave me these 2 panda cories that he spawned a bunch of them, and the cories that he gave me are from that spawn. And I have 2 of them in here. They're obviously not going to be something I can show you because panda cories, as you know, are just fish that are very elusive and you don't see them in your tank very often. They kind of scour the tank in the evenings looking for food, and that's exactly what I have this for, is to make sure that any food that gets to the bottom of the tank, that bio load is not overwhelmed by that, and the cories and the autocichlids do take care of it, because autocichlids don't only take care of algae, brown algae type stuff on your leaves of your plants or whatever, but they will actually go through the bottom of the tank and pick up on any loose food that might be around and whatever. Now I do subsidize them because I don't have any algae in here. I have been subsidizing them with algae wafers, which are really great because you can break these up. They're about the size of a dime, and you can break them up into pieces. And if you've got some nano tanks, you can put less than a half in a tank like this, and everybody gets what they need. And the rest of it you can just go around and use in the rest of your tanks. I do subsidize every one of my tanks because I don't have algae issues, as I said, and so therefore I do have some supplements in here, and this is a great product for that. We'll leave that right there for now. One of the other things that I wanted to talk about as far as foods go, this is a great food. I don't know if you've ever used this before, but it is a great food. I'm going to stick it up to the camera here while I get my glasses. I thought I was going to be able to read that, but I'm not. And anyways, basically, this is Immune Pro, and it's pretty much mini small little pellets, and they're great for just about any fish. Your ram cichlids are going to do really good with this. Any cardinal fish or any smaller fish are really going to do good with this product. And so I really, really like this stuff. It has so many health benefits that if you don't have any of this, you might want to pick it up. They sell it in different size pellets, and this particular size seems to be good for just about all the fish that I pretty much have in my tanks. I don't have any really large fish, so that works really, really, really well. The third product that I want to talk about is Bug Bites. It's a Canadian product. Most of you probably are familiar with it, but this gives your fish some of the natural nutrients that they would get in the wild. It just gives them better color, and this does that too. This is amazing for bringing out the color of your fish. And but Bug Bites, this is a smaller size pellet as well. I try to rotate a lot of this stuff out and in, and make sure that their diet is well rounded so that they're always getting stuff that is keeping them healthy. So we'll leave that product there. Also, I have just standard flakes by Cobalt. You can get Tetra flakes. You can, I mean, flakes are flake food. There's a lot of flake foods out there that tout that they're better than others because of what they put in them. I like the Cobalt because it puts a lot of vitamins and nutrients in there that are good for the fish. It's not just crappy flake food that you get by with. It is one of those flake foods that actually does have a lot of beneficial components to it that are going to enhance the colors of your fish and give them everything they need to keep them healthy. So having said that, the last item that I have here are micro pellets, which is one of my very favorite foods for all of my fish tanks. This stuff is an absolute perfect size for just about any fish. If you do have some of the smaller rainbows or ember tetras, not amber, ember tetras, they're not going to be able to fit these in their mouths, but most of your other tetras or cardinals, angelfish, any of those kind of fish are going to do really, really well with these micro pellets. And I'm not going to say the name because I'm not advertising for them. If you want to zoom in and pick up on the name of that product, do that, but again, I'm not doing that. Now the last thing that we have in this tank that is so important, I think, in every tank is some snails in here. I have some Neutralizer snails in here that I have about 3 of them, and they just are a great cleanup crew. They are not hard to care for at all. They get all their nutrients in an established tank that they need to keep going. As I said, when you put some of these in there to supplement in the evenings, I put them in after the lights go out, because then the fish that come out in the evening and the snails that sort of wander your tank in the evening, they seem to get everything that they need, and that's a good thing. So these are great for that, to make sure that your snails, if you don't have a lot of algae in your tank, which I don't, but I keep the snails in there just to make sure that they pick up on anything that might get started or whatever, because they'll eat a variety of different algae and keep it going. Now I don't have any shrimp in here. I'm a little reluctant to put shrimp in here because I don't find anything that's aesthetically pleasing to me that's big enough that I don't think that they're going to, you know, not do very well with some of the fish in here that are a little bit bigger. So I haven't really made a decision to put any of the shrimp in there, such as the cherry shrimp or the blue velvets or the black and whites or anything like that, or candy cane shrimp. I mean, I could go on and on with the different kinds of shrimp that are out there that are available, but I just don't think it's necessary right now. If I were going to put shrimp in here, it would be something that would be sort of a cleanup crew kind of shrimp that doesn't add anything spectacular to the tank. I don't see any need to do that right now. We'll see how it goes in the future, and we'll assess that. Anyways, George here with The Art of Water. I just wanted to give you an update on this tank right here, and I hope you will subscribe, because we're living through some tough times right now, and many of us are stuck at home and sheltered in place, and it's pretty much every state at this point here. I've been stuck in the house here for about 3 weeks. Gone out a few times to get some basic things and whatever, but spent a lot more time with the fish tanks, of course, and of course my other business, which all of you know what I do. You know, I'm staying pretty busy with that, even though it's a slow time for that particular industry. There's a lot of things that are going forward when this thing gets over with that are still going to happen. So I'm staying pretty busy with that, but this is a really great time to spend time with your fish tanks, or if you don't have a fish tank and you've been thinking about getting one, everything you need you can get except for the fish, and that's going to take 4 to 6 weeks to cycle anyway. But if you're thinking about building a tank, this is a perfect time to do it. You've got all the time in the world to do it. You can buy everything online. I recommend Waterbox is one of the best companies out there. Fiji Cube makes some great tanks. Of course, my favorite tank, if you're looking for anything that's 5 to 7 to 10 gallons, is going to be your Aquatop. You just can't beat those. I have those all over my fish tank room here. You can't see them because they're not on camera, but they're great tanks. And if you're thinking about doing a tank, this is the time to do it, when you're stuck inside. So anyways, I'm going to cut it short here. I didn't cut it short. I actually talked too long, but I hope it's not boring and whatever. It's kind of hard to come up with content when you can't leave your house and do a lot of things. But I thought I would make a video about this tank because we talked so much about it, and I really didn't give you an update on it as far as what was going on with the tank. But anyway, long story short is, you've got a full update now. You know what's going on with this tank. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below, right down here someplace. Ring that bell up there so that any new videos that I put out, you're going to get them. You're going to get a notification on that. Subscribe. I'm trying to work with sponsors, and these are very difficult times to do that. So subscriptions and views mean more to me than ever before. I really didn't care because this is a hobby for me, but I've taken it a little bit more serious here lately, and I would like to have those sponsors sort of stay with me, or other ones that have been talking with me maybe come on and do a few more things with me, because to me, I'm going to be retiring soon. I'm probably going to be doing a heck of a lot more of this in the future, and got some great things coming up. As I said, I have a friend that has a 500-gallon that we're trying to do, but because of everything that's going on, it's just been impossible to get everything you need for that particular tank. And you can't really go there and hang out with each other because of the problems we're having, and it's good. So stay home, shelter in place, hang out with your fish tank. You can't have better friends than fish, and it's a great hobby. And I really think in the end, you're really going to find that it's a very soothing time to spend with fish when you're maybe a little bit depressed or anxious or a little stressed out because of what's going on in the world. It's a great time to spend with our fish and sort of enjoy the fruits of our labor, such as this particular tank here. So I just want you to know that I appreciate everyone watching. Again, subscribe, like, and comment, and we'll talk again soon.